Hello everybody, and welcome back to BMRL Network. And we're back with another Xfinity Series race here on a Monday night, and where it's going to be, we're going to be here at Darlington Raceway, and it's going to be 185 laps and 252 miles of distance. The second most this season, just about less than Daytona International Speedway, but still quite a lot as compared on this season's calendar. And I've got Zappy on your mics, and I've got Chris Mayo alongside, who may or may not jump in here and there, but it's going to be us. Have a look at these cars into the qualifying session, and into the race we go. But a lot of the racing at the moment, we are seeing Cole in the 83 car out on the circuit, the driver that won the previous race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which I believe it wasn't broadcasted, but still we had to have a winner for that. And the one before that, the winner was Ryan Philbricks. He won 2 in a row, and then it was Dakota Remsdale taking up from him. He might try and get back and do that challenge. So 76-mile race, which was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which was slowest with 51 laps, slowest of the season, but we'll see what it's going to be about. So Remsdale at the moment seems to be quickest and ahead of everyone at the moment we are seeing. And then it's JR in 1.5 seconds behind in that third place. We're not yet seeing a full list of drivers who and where they are, but I'm sure in a minute time we will have the grid ready up and get going with just 1 lap to go now to Remsdale as well. But others around as well doing all their laps they are there to do, and that is Sean Cross. That should be in that number 3 car. 1.1 seconds down on Dakota Remsdale, but can he do anything better? He's just about on his way to make around the final corner to get it to that final finish line, and we'll see what he's going to be able to do. I think he's just about running around. Is that the final lap? And we seem to disappear out there. What about Ryan Philbricks? So that might not be the final lap. In fact, so yeah, now it's going to be the one coming up will be the start finish line, and we're going to see Ryan Philbricks, the 2-time winner in the Xfinity Series in this season, and that is going to see him improve quite a lot, but not enough. Still about 2.5 tenths down Dakota Remsdale, and so that is the 6 cars that we are having in this session so far. It's Dakota Remsdale ahead of everyone. Just behind him is going to be Ryan Philbricks, then Sean Cross, then Donald Ray. That should be in that number 5 car in P4. Then it's going to be JR, and that's going to see him P6, which is going to see Andrew Grusz then go quicker. That should be in that 97 car, goes P3. Then Ray improves to go P2. We have some more drivers around here, and that's going to be Jeff Peppers, currently slowest and in last place. But at the moment we are seeing Donald Ray at this moment in the time in P2 on the timing sheets, and currently is 18 hundredths of a second down on Dakota Remsdale. But how quick does he go? Are we going to see him improve massively though? Just across that line he's going to go. Where does he line up? So he does improve by a little bit. Still about 1500 down, 1500ths of a second down on Remsdale. I think that's going to see him currently stay in P2 unless he could improve on this final one, but I don't think he has any laps left at this moment in time. There is only 2 laps to each driver out there, so every driver now should be getting up to the end. I mean, Jeff Peppers is currently P7. That number 7 car hasn't quite improved, 35 seconds down. Maybe he has crashed, or maybe not been able to do a lap at this point in time. But I mean, others are at it to really try and improve. So I think as it stands, we should be get going here at Darlington in a few moments' time for the race. We should be gridding up as we've had the checkered flag here in the qualifying session, which is now over, and we should be moving on to the race in no time. And there we go. So we have the grid set up. It's going to be Dakota Remsdale ahead of everyone with a time of 29.254. Then it's going to be Andrew Grusz in P2, just about 10.5 down. Then it's going to be Donald Ray in P3, the driver who won the Cup Series race last time around. And then it's going to be Ryan Philbricks, P4. That sees him. He's won 2 this season. It's Sean Cross in P5. Then it's Jay Jr. and P6, and that comes Jeff Peppers in P7. Then it's Corey Moore in 8th, and Brennan Yates 9, completing the grid at the moment of 9 drivers. So we've got 9, and we only saw 7 in that qualifying session doing a lap. So that means there is more action and more racing that we're going to see, of course, between drivers. So we are just about to go now, as we have read the drivers gridding up and just going behind the pace car. Just going on, moving now. The drivers trying to warm up the tires, trying to get the tires ready up to get them the temperatures behind the pace car now to get them going for the race here at Darlington. I think, sure, the distance is quite a lot, but the circuit isn't too long, so maybe, probably that's going to pass away, pass away quite quickly. 185 laps, but we'll see how this goes. It depends how many laps we're in the caution, but I hope that it won't be much, because the race in the Cup Series, sure, it was at a different circuit, but it was a very, very good race. It was a very clean race from every driver. I believe he only had 1 caution, or not even that. Meanwhile, the pace car comes in, and that's going to be lap 1 of 185. It's going to be Ramsdale ahead of Andrew Gruce, ahead of Donald Ray. That should be the top 3 are at it already. Green. And I'm going to move into and see us get into the race. That is going to be us now. Just moving into green flags, and that's going to be Donald Ray and Dakota Ramsdale. Andrew Cruz and Dakota Ramsdale out there. 1, 2, and then that is and Donald Ray behind, almost about to get overtaken by Ryan Philbricks, and that 06 car is attacking him as well. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers has moved up into P6 at this moment in time. After we saw more drivers, Sean Cross has moved back. Sean Cross has fallen into 9th place. Not sure what happened there. I believe he was up there in the top drivers, but he's fallen back quite massively. And then there's another driver behind who's falling back, or maybe just letting go the leaders at this point in time. And we'll see what they're going to be doing. Meanwhile, top 3 still stand how they were, 83, 97, and 06 in that. Ramsdale, Gruce, and Philbrick still stayed there. Just behind them is Donald Ray Jr. And then comes Brennan Yates with Jeffrey Peppers and Corey Moore inside that top 8. Then comes the final and last car in this race is going to be Sean Cross. It's going to be all about racing here tonight, and let's see what they can do. Of course, 185 laps, maybe not that long of a circuit, but still they have to get around 185 times around it, and to take it clean and safe will matter a lot, how much, and how they're all going to be doing in this race so far. I mean, we are into lap 4. We should be moving as they just come across now, and that was very close for the leader. That was very close for Ramsdale, clicking that wall on the outside. I think that's going to give him a bit of slowing, so that is going to see him get slow a little bit, and I'll see what and how this is all going to be happening. But this could well be interesting, and I think it is all going to be interesting to see how this is all going to be getting up with these drivers currently on lap 4 out of 185 and just taking it through. And of course, just like every other race here at BMRL, it's going to be 3 stages, and that's going to be lap 40, the first stage, which we are just about 35 laps away from, and the other going to be from 40 to 95. Then when comes the final one, it's going to be from 95 to 85. So probably when it's going to be a caution for lap 40, it's going to be about 5 laps or a little bit more, and lap 45 or 46 we're going to go green once again, then go to lap 90 at the end of lap 95, then maybe about 1 or 101 for the end of that, so till the end of that second stage, and then it's going to be the last third and final one, and I think we're going to be at it. Of course, these drivers start with 70% of fuel and 3 sets of tires that they get. I think a night race here at Darlington makes it very amazing. Meanwhile, this battle is heating up between Andrew Gruce and Ryan Philbrick. The leader, Dakota Ramsdale, is moving away a little bit. He's falling away. He's pulling away from the 2 out there, but the others are at him. Ryan Philbrick and Andrew Gruce are at this point in time are just going to be attacking each other, and I think Ryan Philbrick really hopes that he has got 2 wins this season. He wants to make it 3 now. He won 2 in a row before the previous one was won by Ramsdale, and I think we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, there is a driver in the pits. We'll see who that is. Meanwhile, they just disappeared. I wonder if they got out of the car or get back out on the circuit. We'll see. Jeff Pepper's currently car number 7 in 7th place. Not quite able to make the progress. But Sean Cross has fallen out massively, and Corey Moore is out. Corey Moore is out at this point in time. The number 45 out of the race, headed into the pit road, and just got out of the car and retired out of this race as it stands. Or maybe he's serving somewhat of a penalty or damage repairs that he maybe want to be staying out of that car for a little bit and comes back in it when it's repaired with doing a little bit of a time. But we'll see. I think so far the drivers have been clean. The drivers have been pretty nice to each other. I mean, they haven't tried a lot, but that explains it. Which is, I mean, 185 laps, too many laps to say the least. I mean, sure, there might not be too much, but I mean, with not much competition around, still, sure, the top 3 are at it, but they want to be working around their own races. I mean, they all know it's a long race, so any result they can get, especially the likes of the drivers who probably wouldn't be getting much points. Oh, and that is gonna be, I believe, just a car ahead of Jeff Peppers. That was the number 14. We're hitting the wall on the outside, baby. Then just switching to the inside. That was a big snap for him. Lucky that was not the 14 of Junior. Then that was somebody else maybe around there, because that was then Brennan Yates out there in that 15 car. Of course, he was behind Peppers out there, and it was that car. Of course, he hit the wall on the outside, and this is exactly what happened. Does he do it again? That is going to be interesting to see. Did he do it again, or that was almost a carbon copy of how he did the previous one? And let's have a look at that. And I think let's see what he's going to be doing again. He hit the wall on the outside, and that's exactly what I said. Everybody's being patient. It's a long race. You don't want to end it the way Corey Moore did it, just within a few laps. So I think surely he would want to be keeping it up there as well. Brendan Yates, I mean, just trying to keep it out on the circuit and take it as smooth as he can and just finish out. You know, maybe when there are so many cars, he could be inside the top 7, or he could not be. But today, I mean, when there are not many cars around here, right behind him or ahead of him, he's got the chance to score as much points as he can get at this point in time. And I think with 12 laps having been passed, and he hits the wall once again. He hits the wall on the outside one more time, and I think he's his only enemy himself at this point in time, trying to fight against the walls. I'm sure he's trying to go as quick as he can, as fast as he can, to get to the cars ahead, but he doesn't seem to be having the speed at this point in time. I think lap 13 out of 185. The leaders moving away from each other a little bit. Not quite close action that we are seeing at this point in time, but it might be close as it stands. Only 2 tenths between, but the 2 tenths are actually a lot. I remember the 2 tenths from Formula 1, which of course are not a lot, nothing at all, but here in Nova Racing, 2 tenths, you're going to be far, far away to only try and overtake. But I think the distance between Andrew Gruus and Brian Philbrick would still be very close, and won't be surprised if there's a move coming up. Of course, they have to manage everything, maintain everything, and take how much the fuel they're going to get, because we'll see what it's going to be planning up. Because I think the previous race, I believe, yes, that was indeed, I believe, in the previous race at Cup Series, it was Andrew Gruus. He pushed up too much. He was leading by almost a second than the rest of the pack, and then came the end of that first stage. He ran out of fuel. He ran out of any energy to get going, and that saw him fall back. He still finished inside that top 3, but that was quite a bit of a big damage for him at that point in time, and mismanagement, and that saw him fall back a little. And now this is close. This is close between Brian Philbrick and Andrew Gruus. They're falling away a little bit behind the leader, but there too have been out there. I mean, right behind them is Donald Ray, and I think Donald drives very well in the rest of the other series. Meanwhile, Ryan Philbriggs goes on the inside line and swings through back to the outside, and that's going to be him making a move and getting himself into second place. And now Donald might try and come back at him, and I think Andrew is trying his 100% best to try and defend, but he's not quite able to do that. He switches to the low line, and Donald goes high, and that's going to be Donald into third place as well. Meanwhile, Andrew Cruz loses out positions one after the other, and that's him 2 positions down now in this race. A move that was all race long coming up had to happen on lap 18, all 17 in between. I think Donald now could well be on the attack. As I was just saying in that time that he drives very well in any other series you see him. I think it's his chance to shine up here in the Xfinity series as well. To try and get up, try and pick it up the pace that he's done. He's ended previous week with a win. He might just start this week with a victory here in BMRL as well. We'll see what they can do at this point in time. And lap 19 out of 185. You think that's going to move it into lap 20 at this point in time. The drivers are running away with a little bit of a distance to each other, but still, I think taking it all along and doing what they can at this point in time, just managing their races just to get to the end. I mean, we are on just about onto lap 20, so only about 20 laps to go now to the end of this first stage. First part done of that first stage, the second part to go, and I think still quite a lot. And Donald, I think, would be managing a lot. Meanwhile, Ramsdale ahead of everyone, and maybe, I mean, in one way or the other, sure, Andrew Cruz might not be as quick as he was the other day in that Cup Series, but you have those times. I mean, once you mismanage something like fuel, running out of fuel, or the way what happened to him in the previous Cup Series race. It happens, you know. In the back of your mind, you're in the car. You're just thinking that let me not do it once again. So just be extra careful, and then maybe in doing that, you get a little bit slower. But at this point in time, I think one man who isn't looking slower is Dakota Ramsdale in that 83 car, 1.4 seconds ahead of Ryan Philbriggs. The gaps are quite a lot. I think the drafting hasn't been quite effective. Sure, maybe some of those falling behind a little bit, but not as effective as we've seen on some of the tracks this season. And we'll see how this all goes, of course, about here at Darlington, where he closed those drivers once again to that wall. So they're running very close. They're just trying to run with fine margins to just be inches away from the wall and take as much of the circuit as they can, to get them going and give them the speed and boost that they need to get themselves up the grid, up positions. And at this point in time, as it stands, Jeff Peppers has taken that one position, which he did to Brendan Yates' mistake. And at this moment in time, he's running in P7 at this point in time. And let's look at that. Brendan Yates earlier on had a few encounters with the wall on the outside. Let's see if he's able to run it smooth as one in time. As it looks like, he's been able to save it. He did a big save one time, and I think after that, he's been able to keep it out there, and hasn't had quite big of a problem. But Sean Cross just still in 8th place. He started a little bit higher, I believe, than that, but just when they got to the start, when the pace car went in, it went all green. It did not go green for him, and that was very close for him. One more on the outside there, and I think that could have been wrong. Oh, quite bad for him. And is he between the leaders? Let's have a look at that. Sean Cross, yes, he might be. Just behind Dakota Ramsdale out there at this point in time, I think.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
And that is a yellow, and that is going to be caution. Has something happened out there? Of course, we will have to wait and see, but something might have happened here at this point in time. Let's have a look at that. It's going to be the 83 of Dakota Ramsdale, the race leader, and Brendan Yates. So Brendan hits the wall, then almost Ramsdale did as well. Then when Brendan comes back on the circuit, Brendan Yates, and maybe doesn't check his mirrors, and that's going to see his car spinning around, and that's going to be the caution first of this race. And even with these amount of drivers, it has found itself being out there, and I think in one way or the other, you have to give this up to both the drivers, but probably Brendan Yates, who might have. But I think in the end, he was very close to the wall. I mean, it's not that whole circuit and whole part of the racetrack that all these drivers have to run closer to the wall. Obviously, in one part or the other, he would have had to come out there. So probably the chance for him was to stay there. I think he, in his defense, it's going to be like he would have just had the wall on the outside and the car on the inside. And I think probably he would have had a chance of going to the outside because he's in the inside. He hit the wall already, so he's going to quickly move to the inside, but the car probably wouldn't have time to check that there is somebody out there, and that explains it. Ooh, just getting past the pace car now, some of those, and those a lap down, and their leader could well be coming up to the back of it. We'll see what they can do. The pace car out now, lap 27 out of 85, so it's going to run a few laps behind it, get us closer to the end of that stage, and as it stands, Ramsdale looks good, and I think he was very lucky, to say the least. He found himself very lucky out there because the way Brendan Yates spun, I wouldn't have been surprised, or anybody, I'm sure, of you watching, if Ramsdale spun as well. I think he gets to make himself feel lucky, but he's got it out of it, and he obviously must be looking to make it 2 in a row as well. And I think so far he has done a very good job, and he's looked like that he can do it not once but twice and 2 times in a row here in the Xfinity series. With the pace cars now, lights off now. It's looking to go off. It didn't stay too long, but that's going to see now with about 7 cars out on the track, of course. So the 8th one is going to be Brendan Yates. He could be in the pit still, trying to get repairs, trying to get damages get out. And Corey Moore, who's out of this race, and he's out after maybe having a problem on his own. We didn't get to see what happened to him, but we are going to get to see what is going to happen to any of these drivers at this point in time, as we're going to go green this time by. It's going to be Brendan Yates, it's going to be
green.
And Ryan Philbricks on in those double file lines, both of them leading one or the other. Ramsdale leads the lead. Leads the race, and it's going to be Philbrick and Donald Ray. Both are going to be fighting for that second place, and I think Donald's going to try and give it everything to get past. And meanwhile, Andrew Cruz is in pressure to lose out that position from the car right behind him. It's going to be Junior to try and attack him, and it could be Jeffrey Peppers who could try and attack the cars ahead. But as it stands, it hasn't quite stayed like this. Meanwhile, Donald Ray now quite could go to the inside line of Ryan Philbricks out there, trying to overtake at this point in time. Hasn't quite happened at this point in time. I think we'll see. He just tried it. He thought to go for it, but just stepped back out at this point in time. He knows he's still got a time, and I think at this point, Ramsdale looks set up for that first stage win. But what the others can do, what the others are there to do, they have to see, and I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. With lap 30 out of 185, so just about 10 more laps to the end of the race. All these drivers trying to move left, trying to move right, trying and find a way to overtake, and let's have a look at that. Donald Ray now very close to Ryan Philbricks to make an overtake, but so is Andrew Cruz closer to Philbrick, to Donald Ray, and I think it's still 50-50 chance who overtakes who, but it could be Donald Ray. He seems to be very, very closer. He's low, Philbrick's high, and they're almost side by side, but just not enough to get alongside him. For Donald Ray, he's still trying to make it happen, but hasn't quite happened though at this point in time. And I think we will see what they're gonna do it, because that 32 out of 85 any one of these two want to go for that stage 1 win, they have to attack each other or even the car ahead. But we'll see what they're able to do out there. Meanwhile, now Donald seeming to be in between in their 2 cars. He's got, just like Andrew Bruce, this time around, Ryan Philbriggs might be in that pressure. Sure, he's a little bit ahead of Donald Ray and Bruce, but we'll see what he can do. Because remember, Andrew Bruce, when he lost those positions in those first few laps, he lost first to Philbrick, and then he lost it to Donald Ray as well. And now it's going to be closer. Donald Ray there, very, very close. And I think in one part or the other, it's almost from corner to corner. And in one, they can seem closer to each other. And in the other, they're far, far away that the move won't be possible. And at this point in time, as it stands, this seems to be pretty equal between all the cars. In terms of moves that can be made at this point in time, which doesn't seem to be the case here at this point in time. But it's looking close now. Philbrick is pulling away a little bit. He's gotten closer to the leader. He's gotten closer to Ramsdale. And I think Ramsdale would have to be at the top of his game in the remaining 5 laps to get himself that stage win. And Andrew Bruce is going to try and attack Donald Ray as well to make himself move himself up into third place. That's going to be. But I think he just might stay there and not try anything risky out there. Anything that's going to be damaging or involve a risk of those guys colliding a little, touching cars out there, and I think he doesn't want that risk. But the top 4 still staying very close to each other. Meanwhile, this fight between Jeff Peppers and Junior is going to be going out there as well. Number 14 and number 7. It is indeed going for P7 as well. Well, that should be P6 in fact. If Sean Cross is still running in the race, he must be in 7th place at this point in time. And in fact, it's not 7th, 6th place, it's 5th place. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Peppers is in 5th place, so that's going to see him Junior try and attack. But the gap is over 3 seconds. Are they might be a lap down then. Jeff Junior then might be a lap down on Peppers because the gap is over 3.4 seconds. And that won't happen if they were on that same lap. So we'll see what happens. Brendan Yates still in the pit. Hasn't retired. Maybe he's having a minutes of repairs that he wants or thinks that he can recover from. We'll see what happens though. On to lap 38 now. Out of 40, just the remaining 2. Oh, 3 there should be a 2 after this one. 3 including this one. I think that's going to get it along, and everyone should be exciting as Ramsdale, who took that victory in the previous race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And now it is time to do it 2 in a row and do it here at Darlington as well and equal the wins with Ryan Philbriggs, who's taken 2 in a row as well in this season. But it's only the first stage. Will he be dominant? We've seen the likes of Donald Ray in one of the Truck Series races win the first 2 stages, collide with someone, ever incident, and not win in the end. But we've also seen him in the Cup Series in the previous race, in fact. The most latest one here at BMRL, that he's dominated, won all 3 stages, and end up winning the race as well. And that's going to see us move into lap 40 out of 40. And the Ryan Philbriggs is quite far away to make that move and send that risk. Oh, but that he collides, and we were just talking about risks as he hits that wall on the outside. Maybe he was too focused on the car ahead. He just forgets about the wall on the outside and hits it. And just as this lap finishes, that's going to be stage 1 ending, and stage 1 winner is, as it stands at this point in time, going to be Dakota Ramsdale ahead of Ryan Philbriggs, ahead of Donald Ray, completing that top 3. Then would come Andrew Bruce in 4th place, with Jeff Peppers in 5th, and Junior in 6th, with Sean Cross in 7th, and Brendan Yates still finds himself in the pits.
Yellow.
And that's then going to be the end of this first stage here at Darlington to get us going. We are through the first stage, 40 laps. I hope you all watching enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe and press that like button to that BMRL network channel. And I think this is going to be interesting to see what this pans out, because in this first stage we only saw just a few moves, and I think it's explainable at this point in time, because obviously not a lot of the cars or a lot of the drivers want to take that risk straight away in this first stage. You know, they just want to relax a little. They want to be patient with a big long race. As long as this one here at Darlington with 185 laps, they want to take it smooth. So we're going to just take a little bit of a break as we have all of these drivers now jumping into pit lane and get themselves the fuel that they need. And there are so many laps, so I think for tires, probably they're going to pit at the end of the second stage caution, or they could under the green flag pit stop that they're supposed to do, which is mandatory, of course, in that third and final stage under the green flags. They might do it then. We're just going to take a few laps, a few minutes of break, and pick it up when we are run into the second stage and the pace car goes in. Ooh, there we go. That's now all of these drivers out again. As it stands, Ryan Philbricks is far behind these drivers. Maybe he has taken a lot of more fuel than all of these, or it could be he has taken a bit of damage that needed to be repaired. As it stands, he's nowhere to be found in that top four, but just behind these guys. So the race in the pit road that happens, he might have lost out on that. But just about 7 cars around each other, they all could be going for the moves.
Green flag, green flag.
Racing. Meanwhile, the pace car comes in, and it's going to go green one more time, and we're going to have Racing 1 to go underway into the second stage here at Darlington, and that's going to be Ramsdale one more time leading away at the front. Meanwhile, Donald Ray and Andrew Cruz fighting each other off. Andrews switches left or right to try and defend. So does Jeffrey Peppers. He moves to the inside, but Philbrick does it, moves it to the outside very nicely, and that's going to see him move into a new position straight away under as it goes restarts. And now Junior overtakes Jeff Peppers as well. He moves himself ahead, and that's going to be now Ryan Philbrick's overtaken Andrew Cruz as well. Donald Ray has done it. Philbrick has done it as well. And that's your new top 3 that we are going to expect. And that was before any of this as well. So we'll see what it's going to be all happening at this point in time in this second stage, which is going to last till lap 85, which it has begun on lap 45. So we will see what action and every action that these drivers are there to show us and there to see for us. And I think we have seen it so far in this race. And they're going to do it one more time to show us all of it, with Philbrick making a position. And so is Andrew Cruz now losing positions. Obviously, he was ahead and almost in second place at this point in time. I think Ramsdale just in this Xfinity car seems to be very quick in this one, and now it's very close between Philbrick and Donald Ray out there. Sure, Ramsdale ahead of everyone, but these drivers are quite equal to each other, and they're going to be there at it. And they're giving each other the fight that they want to be. I think, of course, in this Xfinity series, some drivers find it very nice to drive these cars. Some of those not quite easy to drive, but we will see what all of these drivers are going to be doing. At 49 out of 185, and this time around it could be a move coming up for Ryan Philbricks on Donald Ray, as both of them are holding their own line, and Ryan Philbricks moved to the inside, but he's going to go from inside to the outside there, as his car was just drifting to the outside, and then he makes contact with Donald Ray, and that's going to see him hit the wall. The yellow has been avoided, the caution has been avoided, but the incident could not be avoided, and that was then, obviously, Donald Ray had to come back into that racing line, and Philbrick just hanging in there has crashed into him, and that's going to see him lose out positions and pick a bit of damage as well to his car, and that's going to slow him down. And it's going to be now seen at where does he stand. He's into 7th place and fall into last of the running cars at this point in time. Of course, a tap off from Philbrick there. That's not going to be some happiness, any happiness showing up from Ray at this point in time. I think that was just a little tap. Just like that, just like this way does. I think Philbrick needed a bit space on the outside, but I mean, obviously Donald Ray had no way to go as well. There wasn't much he could have done as well at this point in time, and that sees him fall back, and Philbrick still finds himself 2.5 seconds behind the leader. No way of him getting any closer at this point in time. Meanwhile, Andrew Gross is spinning around in a little bit of a movement there. His car felt like it was spinning and just sliding the rears out there. But they're all smooth. The leader, Dakota Ramsdale, looks out. Very, very simple, dominant win at this point in time. Of course, strategy plays out a lot in those final laps, in those final green flag pit stops, when obviously everybody has to think of their own, everybody has to make their own strategy. And when that happens, or that doesn't happen, it could well be going wrong, or for this race. And I think we'll see what it's going to be all about. And I think I was about to check something at this point in time, but we'll see. And now it's close. Andrew Cruz and more right behind him, and we're closer to each other. I don't see anyone closer to Andrew Cruz. Meanwhile, it's not Brendan Yates, it's Donald Ray. He gets past John Cross, who seems to be quite slow out there, not having enough speed that's required. We'll get it going, of course. Lap 56 out of 185, but 56 out of 85, but 57. That moves us into lap 85, which is, of course, going to see us move into it and get to the end of this second stage. Ramsdale has won stage 1, and he looks on the words to win stage 2. Nobody seems to be closer to him at this point in time. Nobody seems to be any challenge, give him any challenge. I think at this point in time, almost everyone's far away from one another. There was Donald Ray and Ryan Philbricks fighting each other, but then they ended up being not good to each other as well. So Junior and Junior and Andrew Gross closer to each other, like car number 97 and 14, but I don't think it's for position. Donald Ray has moved away over 4 seconds from Sean Cross as well, and there could be a time as Andrew Cruz stays high, and it's going to be Junior on the low. He could well be going up for that move. The one on the inside could well try and send it in there, of course. Andrew Cruz just hangs himself in there to defend and keep himself ahead of the number 14 at this point in time. He's getting challenged. He's getting challenged up. He's getting pressured up, but not quite enough for him at this point in time. And we'll see what it's going to be all about when we are at the end of the second stage, at the end of this remaining 25 laps, 25 laps to the end of the second stage, which of course will end at the end of lap 85. We're over lap 60 laps now into the race, and we have to complete over 185. So the stage when it happens, it's going to be over 100 laps then remaining, even when we end the second stage. But we'll see. I think it's going to be the longest and biggest of the session so far, the final stage. But we'll see what we can do, and I'm sure we can do a lot in that one. And that is going to be the stage. We're going to see probably drivers getting closer, strategies playing out. Someone gets it right, someone gets it wrong, and that could well be getting us the better race and an entertainment that we would want, of course, to get it going. And this is very close. This battle out on circuit out there at this moment in time. This might not be for position, but it still is out there, and I think we'll see these two still fighting each other off. Andrew Cruz just defending and doing enough to keep himself ahead on the track at this point in time of Junior there, the number 14. Lap after lap, they're getting closer to each other, but we're getting to the end of that stage. But these two are still closer, still fighting out. I mean, Ryan Philbricks and Ramsdale still find themselves 2.2 seconds apart from each other. Andrew Cruz 7.8, and then Junior 8.3, Jeff Peppers 11.9, and Shankar over 26. But where did Donald Ray go? He's in the pits. He has pitted then, maybe earlier on. He just took some damage on, or he did not pit out there, because that's now going to see him make a pit stop, or he's made another, maybe another incident that he's been involved in that we did not see at this point in time. But okay, there it is. Ryan Philbricks now makes a pit stop, and he's just in pit road. We'll see where he's able to go, where he's going to go while coming out, and does he win it? I think it could be an incident that these drivers obviously cannot go to the end of this second stage on the same tires or same fuel remaining, so they all need to make a pit stop. And as it stands, so Donald Ray has made his, and he's already on the out lap, and now Ryan Philbricks is out there as well. He's just going to make his way out as well. This could well be close. This is going to be very close between the two. The strategies that we thought were going to play out in that third stage could well be on their way to show us something, and a glimpse of what could happen in that third one is here in this second one as well, with just about 20 laps to go to the end. This is some interesting things we are having to watch out for. Philbricks in that 6th place in that number 6 car. And okay, so Donald Ray's out of the race, my bad. I thought I thought that he was probably out on an out lap, but he was on an out lap. He was out of the race. Maybe he picked up too much damage, enough damage to get himself out of that car and out of the race. And I'm sure it doesn't always play out for some drivers the way that they want it to be. And that happens to be the case. Okay, so as it stands, the stage is not going to be lap 85, it's going to be lap 95. Apologies for that, everyone. We just misjudged it a little. And let's see what happens out there. Yeah, indeed, it is lap 95, so it was me making a mistake in judging it. We'll see. So still got a lot of laps to the end, and that explains why all of these drivers had to pit one more time before they could go to the end. And without pitting, they might have not done so. And this is now going to be close. Meanwhile, Junior, JR is very close to the leader as it stands. Oh, sorry, not to the leader. Yes, indeed to the leader, to Andrew Cruz. The gap between these two, they are in fact fighting for position. And Andrew Cruz at the moment leads ahead of the number 14 and ahead of Ryan Philbriggs. Ryan Philbriggs has pitted. The other two have not been to the pits. In this second stage at this point in time, we're going to move into lap 70. That's then going to see us have about 25 laps to the end, but we'll see what it's going to be all about when we are at the end of that stage, and that's going to be Philbriggs one more time making contact with the wall on the outside. We saw him drifting into Donald Ray earlier on, and he's drifted into the wall this time around very hard. Every driver finding it there to stay away from the walls, and that has been the cause of the incidents that we've had today as well. And this is now going to be very close. The battle is on. The fight is on. And I think at this point in time, the number 14 car is on their way to try and overtake Andrew Cruz. He's been there. He's sitting right behind him for a long while. But he wants to make that move now. He's on the way to make that move. And that's going to be Andrew Cruz making contact on the wall on the outside, and that's going to allow Junior to get through and move himself up into the lead of the race. And he leads, number 14 leads at Darlington, but Andrew Cruz is going to come back at him. He makes contact with the wall on the outside this time around, and that's now going to allow Ryan Philbriggs to get through as well. That's going to be two overtakes after one after the other. And Ryan Philbriggs now, he was going to see our leader, Ramsdale, currently in sixth place at this point in time. Philbriggs may well be on the way, and he's going to be on his way to take that lead and get ahead of Andrew Cruz. But they're almost going three wide with this is going to be very close. But he just makes his way, just makes his move. But he's now going to try and maybe switch to low to defend. But Andrew Cruz moves up and gets himself back into second place as well. So we haven't seen these two pit yet at this point in time. But, ooh, that was very close. That was very close once again to the wall on the outside. I think they're finding it hard to get closer. Meanwhile, we might just see Junior now head into the pit lane. And that's going to see Ramsdale. Still says he's in sixth place, though. Okay, he's in sixth place. That then sees Philbriggs in fifth place. Obviously, it's not the lead of the race. These guys pitting, and that was very close then. One more time. Meanwhile, Cruz hits the wall on the outside, and that's going to allow Ramsdale to get through. Of course, Cruz is leading, but that is some interesting thing to see. So maybe Cruz has overlapped. Cruz has lapped the other drivers around there, because that's then Sean Cross in their fourth place at this point in time. Junior is in first place, as it shows. Maybe the overlay updates a little bit later, but we'll see. I think how it goes. It's going to be going up, but as it stands, the racing has been interesting. And in this second stage at this point in time, as it stands, the racing has been very good. With just 20 laps to go now to the end. Lap 795 is going to be stage 2 endings, and with this going on so far, we will see how long and how far we are able to go with these racing and wheel-to-wheel racing. I think it's all about what everybody can do, what they can do, and now this is very close. Philbrick and Sean Cross closer to each other. Sean Cross might have not pitted, but Philbrick at this point in time is going to try and overtake him and get himself in second place at this point in time as it stands, and I think this could well be on their way, and Philbrick is going to be on his way to overtake. He switched to the inside, but gets back and switches right behind him because he needs to take that extra speed by taking that slipstream and staying behind him as much as he can. But for how long? How long before they touch? How long before he overtakes him? Donald Ray and Philbrick touched, but that moves out. Then it's going to be Sean Cross moving out of the way. That's going to see Philbrick in the second place and Ramsdale in his third. And there is only one driver ahead that sees himself ahead of these two. And I think Philbrick has now got a big chance of winning this second stage. But will he be able to do that? Because he didn't seem to have enough speed to get closer to Ramsdale earlier on, but will he be close enough to do it this time around? And we'll see what is going to be happening though. But this is very close one more time. Ramsdale thought for a move. He went to the inside, but doesn't quite let him pass. Does Philbrick at this point in time. He's trying it. Ramsdale is trying. Ramsdale is showing his field. Dakota really showing he's won that first stage with his raw speed and pace, and he can do it 2 in a row. He's got about 15 laps to do so now to make this move and get himself probably to the net lead of this race as it stands. But this is very close and still not enough for Dakota Ramsdale to make the move and see himself overtake. So Jeff Pepper still stays ahead and leads this race so far, but I don't think it won't be too long before we see him come into the pits, unless he's pitted way earlier and has some extra fuel then that he can take and get himself up into this first stage win. But as it stands, not quite enough, and I think what we'll just see what these two can do. Can they get themselves back into that race lead? And that fight for that race lead is going to be on lap 81 out of 185. This is going to see him. I think Philbrick is going to do everything, and he's doing it so far already, to try and defend, to try and keep himself ahead of Ramsdale. Not let Ramsdale get past. And that is going to be all about how this is going to go and how they are going to be taking it. Lap 83 out of 95, 83 out of 95, that sees it to the end, sees us to the end of this second stage, but we'll see what it's going to be all about to get it going. And I think as it stands, we'll see what they're all going to be able to do. With just very close, I mean, they're still not able to do that, but this time around, it could well be coming up. Of course, the final stage is going to be the one where we see cars going up crazy, but I think this will be nothing less than that as well. Sure, Ramsdale wants to go for it. Maybe he's staying patient. He knows that he can make that move, maybe, or maybe Philbrick is doing very good defending that hasn't allowed Ramsdale to get going and get through so far. Of course, these are the two winners who won in the previous 3 races. 2 times it was Philbrick, and 1 time it was Dakota Ramsdale. And he's picked it up where he left in the previous race. He won the race in that 3rd stage, of course, to the end of it, and then he's picked it up by winning that 1st stage. But Ryan Philbrick, he won twice before that, at Atlanta Motor Speedway and at Las Vegas. So that saw him take 2 victories in a little bit less distance, obviously, than this race. But we'll see. What is this all gonna be happening between? No move yet. Still no move from Dakota Ramsdale. Everybody watching, comment down below. When do you think Ramsdale is gonna be through? Meanwhile, he was almost through the wall there as he got very close, trying to stay away and keep himself away from it, but it got very close. It could have been nasty had he not controlled it the way he did it though. Jeff Peppers still stays in the lead. Nobody able to get closer to him. I think it'll be interesting to see if he has pitted yet or not, because sure, if he has, he could well be on the way to win the second stage. And sure, he was not in the fight. He was not in the fight between the leaders, fight for that race or the stage win, which he could well be seeing himself, but I don't think so. He might just be heading into pit road now, and yes, he will be. But the question is going to be, where does he come out? Does he see himself inside that top 3, or he's going to fall back even behind? But Ryan Philbricks is now going to take that lead, and now this is only his stage win to lose. We're on lap 87, which is going to be 88 next time around, because he just gets 88 now, and I think it's just about going to be 7 laps after this one to the end of the second stage, which is going to be a big chance, and we could well be seeing a different winner at the end of that second stage. It's all about who can keep it at this point in time, and I think these two are going to be the ones challenging each other. These two are going to be the ones that we are going to see. Of course, GR being currently in 3rd place as well, JR of course, and Peppers in that 4th as well. So and then Andrew Gruis as well. I mean, Jeff Peppers has done a very good job coming out in 4th place, and it's going to be interesting. I think the top 4, top 5, if not maybe the top 4 are going to be at it. Sure, Andrew Gruis hasn't showed much speed. Donald Ray could have showed more, but I think we'll see what he can do. Andrew Gruis, remember, your winner at Daytona, and he won that. So these 3 have won the races so far here in the Xfinity Series, and they are all going to be able to add 1 to their telly, let alone from let it be Andrew Gruis, or be it Dakota Ramsdale or Ryan Philbricks. All of them are going to try and increase their lead of victories here in the Xfinity Series, and points as well, of course, which everybody is here for, to be in that championship and get everything they can. As it stands, of course, lap 92 out of 95. That was going to be the stage end that we have been waiting for, because sure, we've seen somewhat of an action, and now, as it stands, Philbrick has fallen away from Ramsdale, and I think that stands that obviously not only management, but then drafting is not as effective as we've seen some of the circuits, obviously one different from the other. And Philbricks now looks to be in clear air and be the winner here at the end of this second stage. Still got a few miles to go though. He has to take it smooth. He has to take it fine, because if he can't quite do it, and maybe one mistake of touching that wall on the outside, which we've seen many drivers do here tonight, and if he just manages to do that one time, that is going to find it very hard for him, and find it very hard for himself to even get closer to that checkered flag. Not that checkered flag, but that stage 2 caution. And now he's going to get past. That is very close, but he got past him very nicely. Does he want to get out of the Sean Cross? He is going to, hoping to get past away of these leaders. Then he almost there touched with Ramsdale out there. Very close was the rear bumper of Ramsdale with Sean Cross out there. And we're on lap 95 out of, 95 out of 95. And just at the end of this lap, it's going to be Ryan Philbrick coming up to take victory here in the second stage. Stage 1 was Dakota Ramsdale. P1 and Philbrick P2. And now this time around it's going to be Ryan Philbrick P1 and Dakota Remsdale P2. Still going on though, the caution hasn't been called. The caution hasn't been called yellow, but it should be in any moment's time. It's still going green, still green racing though. But it should be happening now, and I think, well, see, we're into lap 97 and they're at 96, and there we go, it happens now. We almost ran that half of that half, or lap 16 as well, but it happens to be the case. So a little lap longer, but still, that's now going to mark the end to this second stage. And now this is going to be about third and final stage remaining to the end. Pace car already out, and we could be seeing drivers coming into the pits to maybe give themselves enough fuel and tires if they need, but the race pit road could be interesting to see as well. Drivers are going to head pit road, especially these two, Ryan Philbricks and Dakota Remsdale. This is going to be their fight. This is going to be their race to fight each other. Sure, Jeff Peppers then did a very good job to finish P5 ahead of Sean Cross, but not quite enough. And we will see who pits and who does better than one or the other. Oh, Ryan Philbricks has missed out a little. He's missed out a little on his stop point in the pit box. He went a little deep, and that had him reverse a little bit, and that's definitely going to be him losing a little bit of a time. And we'll see who's going to get ahead and get out on the track back again. And Remsdale is already ahead of Philbrick and back out on the circuit, and that's going to see him get into the lead. He lost it in those pit stops. He wins it back again in those pit stops. But we will see though, because that restart, if Philbrick's got enough speed, he might just be getting through. Everybody else coming in as well. Meanwhile, now Sean Cross into the pits. Jeff Pepper still stays there. Remsdale is back out one more time. And everybody around as well. So we just have these pit boxes, pit stops at the end of this second stage caution, which will see us move into the third one. So we will see what we are going to be doing at this one. The pace car lights are off, so it's going to be going off, and we pick it up when it goes in. Around lap 99, that is then going to see us get restarted on lap 100 and go to over 90 laps to the end of this race. The most and the longest that we've had this race, so we will have in this race so far. Ryan Philbricks, Dakota Remsdale, and so is Junior in between these drivers. In between there, the top three are there, and there to give each other the fight. Remsdale is already through. He's had that restart. He had the restart at the end of that first stage. That was very smooth, and so is this one. And I think he's very good at those restarts. And Philbrick at that. Meanwhile, Philbrick on the other hand finds it very hard. He might just end up losing to Junior there, the number 14. And at this point in time, Andrew Cruz and Jeffrey Peppers. Jeff Peppers is out there as well. So it's all about who's got to be handling this pressure better than one or the other. As it stands, I think Ryan Philbrick, in terms of raw speed, has done a very good job to keep it up ahead. So far, it was very close. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers gotten ahead of Andrew Cruz. Andrew Cruz just hasn't had the race that he would have been looking for. And that's going to be a spin. That is going to be none other than Junior in the number 14. Very cool, very, very safe. And lucky for him to not collide with the wall very hard. And cause a yellow caution. But this was still a bit of a touchings between the drivers. Or did he hit the wall? It was a bit hard to judge. But I think still that almost sent him out of the race. And he'll be lucky to still be driving and not be out of this race at this point in time. That 103 out of 85. So we've got ourselves into 3 laps after the green flag into the third and final stage. We're just going to see us complete 90 laps if we are able to see all green flag racing. Of course, we're going to complete the laps, but some of, not all, if not all, some of them could well be under caution if there is an incident at this point in time. But still, having 3 cars out, only about Ramsdale, Philbrick, Gross in that top 3, then Junior up, and then still an incident, still sees himself in P4, Jeff Peppers in P5, and Sean Cross, the 6th and final driver in this race with these 6 drivers remaining, and they've got about 80 laps to do after this one. And I think somewhat close racing we saw earlier on. We will see how close this one gets, because they're closer or far away from one or the other. I think sure they're not going to go all these 85 laps on the fuel they've taken. Sure they can go on these tires, which are not going to be a problem maybe for these drivers on the oval track course. The fuel, saying nothing about that, because that could well be some saving up needed for these guys if they want to make it to the end. Otherwise, they will have to make a pit stop, which is going to see. We're going to see these guys get along and get going to give us some extra exciting stuff about the pit stops and we will see what we are doing, of course. I mean, 108 laps, 180 or so of 185, and as it stands, this could well be somewhat of interesting battle between Junior and Jeff Peppers, who's just taken that place and position ahead of Junior. Then he indeed has to take a position on Junior. Then he might be a lap down at this point in time. Yes, indeed. 1 lap down is Jeff Peppers at this point in time. That sees him still running P5 ahead of Sean Cross, who's about 3 laps down, but still he finds himself ahead. And this time around he switched to the inside, but that was very late from Jeff Peppers there, and that could have been very close for an incident to happen. With about just getting closer and closer, but I think the cars aren't getting closer to each other at this point in time. Something that we want to see. Sure, one thing you have to say, they've at least ran a bit smoother in these final 2 stages than there was anything in those first stage. Of course, the caution we saw, and then a little bit of problems between Philbrick and Donald Ray as well. But as it stands, so far, there is no incidents between any of these 6 drivers running out of the circuit in this 3rd and final stage. But I think, considering that obviously they're running closer to each other, the chances of an incident get lower and lower as well, unless they're running side by side, racing side by side. Maybe end up making contact. But Ryan Philbrick's, the speed that he had shown doesn't seem to be working in this 3rd stage, because he was ahead of Ramsdale, and then Ramsdale wasn't able to overtake. And I think that explains it. Maybe it's just very hard. It's very hard to overtake, to get closer to the race leader or to any car ahead of you, and overtaking is not easy here at Darlington at all, which is going to see obviously these guys running far away from each other. And that is your race leader, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota Ramsdale still leads it up ahead of Ryan Philbrick. Stage 1 winner and stage 2 winner in 1 and 2 in this race. Will it be Dakota Ramsdale, or will it be Ryan Philbrick winning this 3rd stage? And which is going to be the race victory? Or will it be somebody else from the likes of Andrew Bruce or Junior, or even Jeff Peppers, who's still a lap down? But if there comes one more caution, he will be able to get back into the lead lap, and that is going to be helping him to get back with the leaders. But so far as it stands, no help for him at all. We're going to see what happens between these two, though. 1.3 seconds now, the gap between the top 2. It's getting back. It's getting less and less at this point in time, and I think we'll see what it's going to be all about with these two when it's the end. I think Philbrick maybe has to forget about management at this point in time. Maybe has to think that, okay, anyways, we have to make a pit stop in this 3rd stage, so let's go for it. Let's make the most of these tires and fuel, if as much as he's got remaining, as much he has remaining. So obviously he will be trying to get it going. But so far as it stands, it hasn't quite been successful, though, as both of them are about to lap out. And John Cross was then probably going to be over 4 laps down, maybe, from the leaders, and we'll see what is it all going to be about between these drivers at this point in time. At 119 out of 185. Apologies, everyone. We get a little bit slower with the action, but of course there's not much going out in track. There is not much we've got to report out here from the commentary box. But sure, if there is anything else or anything going on that gets closer or that is gonna get close, or any action that we're gonna see, the cars we're gonna see side by side, it's all gonna pump up, and it's only gonna get better with there at this point out of the circuit. Lap 120 out of 85, getting closer and closer to the end, with about 160 laps now remaining. About 65, not 165, but just 65 laps. I mean, about what we've done this in these first 2 stages, which was of course Let's do it. And there you go, everybody. We just took a little bit of a break from this race. Hope you're still there and not having fallen asleep from watching this section. Unfortunately, not much going on out on the circuit, but this is going to be interesting. Meanwhile, as we pick it up, the green flag pit stops, which are going to be an interesting thing to look at. It's going to get in with Ramsdale straight away, heading into the pits. With Philbrick having done it on the previous lap, then he sits out in the pits. Then that's going to be him maybe doing it on the previous laps. And next time around, Philbrick's could well be coming up ahead. And yes, he will be ahead of Ramsdale into pit road. And he's going to come out ahead of him. Meanwhile, Ramsdale is just going to head into pit road. So will be interesting to see. Will Philbrick be able to make it around the whole track? For one lap before Ramsdale is back out on the circuit. This will be interesting to see with the laps remaining to the end of the race. 185 to 142 of 185, and I think it'll be interesting to see where Philbrick sees himself, because Ramsdale, of course, responded to Philbrick's undercut, which we call it. Will he be able to overcut him and pit a lap later, but come out ahead and do a better job? Will be interesting to see where does Philbrick come out currently. Junior at this point in time still sees himself in the pits, though. Number one, he's in P1, but in the pits. Ramsdale in second place, and Philbrick is in third place. But is he going to be able to? Yes, he's able to jump him, but he's over 3.8 seconds. So I think even after the pit stops, the gap seems out to be the same. Sure, Philbrick has been able to come out on there and in second place, but the gap still stays same. The gap still stays how it was before they pitted, and it's got it back again one more time. But this is going to be some interesting racing going on now between not only the leaders, but then the ones behind as well. So at the moment, running order in this race so far is Dakota Ramsdale leading and ahead of everyone in the 83 car. Then it's Ryan Philbrick, Andrew Gruce in that third place, and then comes Junior in that 14 car with Jeff Peppers in the pits along with Sean Cross. And Jeff Pepper comes out with 2 laps down on these leaders as Sean Cross pitted out of this race. He still stays in the pits. He pitted a while ago, and it still sees him still staying in the pits, just like Brennan Yates. Brennan Yates is out a long time ago from the race, but hasn't quite picked it up back. Maybe his car wasn't repaired enough or good enough to get back out on the circuit, and that explains it. With about 145 laps now being done, and 40 laps remaining to the end. Exactly the laps that we did from start to the end of that first stage, and now it's going to be from second stage from 145 laps to the end of this race, which could well be interesting to see who comes out on top. As it stands, Dakota Ramsdale could well be coming up to the end of this race. What he's going to be able to do. I think at this moment in time, with these drivers still staying there, and Brennan currently Junior at this point in time in P4, quite far behind, a lap down, so he's a leader. If there comes a caution in the coming few laps, he's going to be getting back on that lead lap. Jeff Evers is not going to be able to do that at this moment in time, but it'll be interesting to see what the leaders are able to do as well, with, I think, obviously as many laps as they are remaining at this point in time. Ooh, that was very close, and that might be some car going a little bit wide. Brenner, there was the junior car in that number 14. He hits the wall on the outside and gets himself a bit unstabilizing. He gets his car a little bit moving, and that could have been his heart-to-mouth moment, but just saved it enough. Just a little tap in the wall on the outside, but just gets it back in there and doing a very, very good job. Lap 151 out of 85. Still no action to be found at this point in time in the circuit. I mean, obviously, drafting not a lot easier, not easier at all between these drivers. So if you get overtaken by one or the other driver, you're not as quick as them. It's quite hard for you to stay close. It's quite hard for you to stay together between the drivers. $152 out of 185. Let's see, it 153, and I think obviously lap after lap with these guys now, I'm sure in the cockpit they would be wondering that what they can do at this point in time. Sure, the top two would be thinking that they need to be winning. They are going to be finishing up very good. Of course, not a lot of cars being there. They get the most and maximum points. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to get that if there was any cars out there. Who do you think in the chat, everybody, that give us a name? Will Ryan Philbrick be able to get back on the back of Dakota Ramsdale? Will he be able to come back and attack Ramsdale when there comes the end of this race? Or will it be Dakota Ramsdale taking that victory and dominating the race that he has done till this moment so far? He just lost out on that second stage, but similar to what Philbrick, what has happened to Philbrick as well at this moment in time. Obviously, he was just close, but not able to make that move, not able to overtake. So that sure sees that it was very close. And as it stands, they're obviously overtaking. Not quite easy to the end, and that explains it. We're just 30 laps to the end before we have our winner here at Darlington. And now Andrew Gruss is about to get lapped and by Ryan Philbrick. He gets out of the way very nicely, and it just lets him get past. Maybe now he's going to pick up that little draft from him, but obviously that isn't quite easy at this point in time as well. About to the end. I mean, obviously, they're all at it. So, just the running order in this race. Let me run it up for you as we are getting closer now. Obviously, still quite a lot of laps still remaining. The leader that is on our screen quite far away from each other. So, it was 9 drivers starting this race, but it is Dakota Ramsdale leading it up ahead of Ryan Philbrick. 2.5 seconds. And then Andrew Gruss and Junior a lap down, both of those drivers. And then it's Jeff Peppers in the pits. I wonder if he's getting some repairs or some fuel or making that planned pit stop. Or is he going to not come out and just like Sean Cross, who currently sits in sixth place, but hasn't came out. Brendan Yates seems to be in the pits as well, still in it. So he won't be coming out anytime soon. It's going to be then 5 cars at the moment in time running out on the circuit there were. So it's 4 at this moment in time. As soon as Jeff Peppers is back out on the circuit, it is going to be 5. So it's a very interesting thing to see. Of course, we would be moving into lap 60, getting ourselves closer and closer to the end. With 159 laps, getting past this time frame, these cars out on the circuit. I mean, kudos that they have been able to keep it out on the circuit, not collide with each other. And I think, yeah, like sometimes in these races, you see the drivers fatigued out, maybe driving for too long, end up making an unusual mistake, ending up getting into the wall on the outside or doing something unusual that sees them out. But now they have, at least so far, done enough to keep themselves where they are. And I think as it stands, 160 laps have passed and just 25 to go in this race now. There we go, with just about 25 laps to go now here at Darlington, and it's going to be a pretty interesting thing to say who comes out on top. 2.7 seconds gap that seems to be increasing and increasing lap after lap, and one after one and another between Ramsdale and Philbrick. Ryan Philbrick, two-time winner here in the Xfinity Series, finds himself second to Dakota Ramsdale, who won once here in the series as well in the previous race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and now this is his chance. So is his teammate, so is Ryan Philbricks, to do what he can in these remaining 24 laps to try and attack and do everything and get everything he's got and give it up for all the speed. And as it stands, these two drivers are only on the lead lap and only within each other. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers has pitted, and as it looks like, he might not come out as well. With 22 laps to go now, so just as it stands, these two are far away still. Now the gap is increasing over 3 seconds, still about 22 laps to go, so we'll take a little bit of a break and a pause here once again and pick it up back again until if there is any, or these two are getting closer. If they do get closer to each other, there could well be some great action. So with just 21 laps now remaining, and when there are just about 10 laps remaining to the end, we will pick it up back again and get you through to the end of this race. And there we go, everybody. We're just to the end of this race now. Apologies for not much action. We could not proceed with the commentary going on, but we are back with it. And to take it to the end of this race as it stands, with 4 laps to go in this race now. And as it stands, Ramsdale has dominated ahead of everyone, but that could have been very, very wrong for him there as he just hit that wall on the outside, but far, far away. Ryan Philbrick is far away from him to take advantage of that or make any use of really the mistake that Ramsdale made to get closer to him. Only 4 cars running in this race so far. Ramsdale, Philbrick, Andrew Cruz, and then Junior in that number 14. With Jeff Peppers, Sean Cross, Donald Ray, Brendan Yates, and Corey Moore out of this race. It was 9 starting, and it's now going to be 5 before finishing up, in fact, with Dakota Ramsdale. He's dominated this race as it stands. Won that stage run. Sure, he got overtaken in that second stage, but didn't care about it. And when it came for that final 3rd stage and that stage victory, he's at it. He's about to do it. Of course, Jeffrey Pepper's teammate Sean Cross in the pits. So as Ryan Philbrick's teammate Brendan Yates out as well. Not quite, both of them not quite making it. Sean Cross was running out there, and that is now going to be the white flag and the final lap of this race. So just around the circuit comes now, does Dakota Ramsdale, and he's just going to be coming across that line to take the race win here at Darlington Speedway, and that's going to see him take victory and make it 2 in a row and equal the number of wins with Ryan Philbrick this season, as we have Andrew Cruz and Junior yet to finish. Both of them are a lap down now, but sure, still makes it inside that top 3, does Andrew Cruz, and that's going to see him finish it out in the top 10, and Junior now finishes out as well. So that is going to now mark the end to this Darlington Speedway. Sure, this might have not been as entertaining, but tomorrow's the Truck Series, and that should be nothing short of entertainment blockbuster tomorrow, which is of course going to be somewhat amazing and great than this, as we're going to have our race winner do some donuts around here, the race victory donuts. There we go. He just want to show us something, just some action out there, probably in the ending laps that we saw. So the 3rd and final stage not playing out as expected, but still somewhat good battles. And I think if we have more battles like those and throughout the race, it would be better and better. As it stands, that now marks the end. So just in a few minutes time, we will be having a chat with all of these drivers inside that top 3. So just hold on and wait for us to have a little bit of a chat and ask what they feel and how it goes for these drivers and how it was really racing out for them in this situation. And there we go. We have driver, the first one, Andrew, out here with us, finishing in 3rd place, and just take us through your race. How was it out there, Andrew?
It was interesting. I started out pretty good with the sun out, but you know, stage 1 was all right. But stage 2, I got some wheel damage and just finished the race with 2.5 minutes of wheel damage the whole time. Didn't catch a long enough caution because I chose to push Jeffrey Peppers into the pits to get him some fuel, so I gave up my repair time for him.
Okay, that explains it. I think we still saw you finish a lap down, but still inside that top 3, so that makes it up. I mean, at the end of the day, the result matters. Doesn't matter how far behind you're finishing if you get that position.
As long as I get a top 3, I'm fine. I just want to be 3rd in points. That's it. 3rd to 1st in points.
Interesting. I mean, still a good race, keeping it ahead of Junior there. And congratulations, finishing third. Before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, my wife, she supports me doing all this. I want to thank you and Chris for throwing on the league and staying with it and still broadcasting. Love you guys. And we got pretty good little group that's still racing here. They still race pretty hard, so appreciate everybody for coming out and still racing.
Yeah, appreciate you. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Our race winner one more time, Dakota Rimsdale, 2 in a row for you.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
Absolutely amazing and just dominating all around, not letting anybody get closer.
Yeah, I know Ryan's a pretty good racer there. And after that first stage where I noticed that he couldn't, really stay with me or hang with me, I knew as long as I didn't mess up too terribly bad, I could hold it from him. He was about pretty much the only one I'd really worry about here.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you're a long race, nobody around you. Got a little bored in there, or enjoyed it?
Yeah, no, it's fun coming out here and running, and I kind of wish we would have had more people turn up here in this league, but it is what it is. Sitting there talking to my teammate the whole race, and congrats on third place to him. And we come out here, we run it, and sometimes you get out here all alone, and sometimes it's a nail biter all the way to the end. That's just how it is.
Yeah, sure. I mean, still at the end of the day, still taking a win. Win is a win, and that matters a lot. We saw you sure dominate a lot, and Ryan wasn't able to get closer in those first and third stage, but you lost out on that second stage. You think you could have done better, or you just hanging back in there and let him take that second stage and attack back when it was time for that third one?
Yeah, so that second stage, I kind of messed up coming to my pit. I missed the beginning of pit road there, so that allowed him to catch up pretty significant time on me, and I knew he was probably going to be past me. When I come off of pit road, I didn't think that he was going to be as close as he was, so I kind of wish I would have, kind of got up there a little bit and challenged him a little bit more, but I wasn't trying to wreck anybody tonight, so it is what it is. He got the good stage win on his part there, but I won he won the battle, I won the war.
Yeah, exactly, in your own words. And congratulations on 2 wins in a row. Now you equal the record of Ryan himself this season, taking 2 in a row, and now looking forward to sure make it 3 in a row next time round.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do next week.
Congratulations once again. Anybody you want to shout out before we let you go? And one more time, great racing out there from you and Ryan.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll shout out my wife and all my friends and family that watch the broadcast. Thank you all for putting on the broadcast, and thanks, Chris, for allowing this league to happen and to still hang in there, even though the low turnout has been past couple weeks. And shout out to Big Tex Autoplex. If y'all need any used, like new Jeeps, trucks, SUVs, you name it, they got it. They'll ship all over the nation. Just find them at bigtexautoplex.com and tell them I sent you over there, and they'll get you the best price possible.
Amazing. Good to talk to you, and see you next week.
Yep.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dakota.
Thanks, Chris.
That's then going to be the end of it. We do not have Orion at this point in time. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just coming up to the end of this broadcast here at BMRL Network. Hope you all watching enjoyed it. We tried picking it up, but I think tomorrow is going to be even an amazing race in that truck series. It's going to be hopefully more drivers attending the race, more great racing and interest than this was. Still hope you enjoyed it. It was myself, Zebby, in the commentary box, and Chris Mayo, of course, taking the care of the cameras. And all rest assured,
all these drivers doing a great job as well. So hope you all enjoyed it, and that then will be it. See you all